Now, have you heard of something called emotional yoga? Emotional yoga, right? This was actually coined by someone called, I think, Bija Bennett, okay, probably in the early 1900s. Okay, she wrote a book about emotional yoga. Right? So, see, what happens is that in the West, they started practicing yoga, and a lot of people in the West, they converted that into more of a physical practice. Okay, converted it into more of a muscular practice, or you know aerobic practice, all to do with getting a good figure, all of that. Right. So there were a lot of Western students and teachers who were a bit disillusioned by this after reading books like Patanjali's Yoga Sutras and all that. Okay. So they started trying to understand what is the essence of yoga. So essence of yoga is not just physical. Physical is a small part. I would term it as probably less than 10%. Right? And that is why people started digging a bit deeper and deeper and deeper, understanding the yoga philosophy itself. So people started reading Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, all that. So if you look at Bhagavad Gita, there are multiple forms of yoga. Okay, every chapter is a form of yoga. So if you look at Bhakti Yoga is nothing but emotional yoga, right? You're completely devoted to the Lord. You're giving up everything to the Lord. You trust the Lord 100%. You are emotionally connected to the Lord. Right? It is a form of emotional yoga. Hatha yoga is definitely more physical in nature. Okay. We have got Raja yoga, which is focusing more and more on the mind. So there are different aspects of yoga. Right? Yoga is only one, but the focus has been slightly shifted depending on the utilization or where you want to use it. So if you look at, I have always talked about pranayama. How did pranayama come about? Our ancient rishis started watching our breath. Right? So when we get angry, breath becomes faster. Right? When you're going to sleep and when you're relaxed, breath becomes slower. Right? So they realize that there is a correlation between breath and emotional feelings. Right? And the vice versa is also true. So they realize that, okay, there are certain practices, if we do, we can control your emotions. Right? For example, you're feeling extremely depressed, lethargic. Okay, go and do Bhastrika, Kapalbhati, get that energy. Right? Now, if you're anxious, full of anxiety, stressed out, you need to be calm. What pranayama do? You do Nadi Shodhana, Brahmari. Yeah. So this has always been there in our system. Right? So when you talk about emotional yoga, what these pioneers of emotional yoga did was they combined the traditional yoga, which what I was explaining about, with therapy. Okay. And they designed it in such a way that it is more focused on treating people with emotional disorders. Right? The techniques are all what we are practicing. Right? The holistic yoga is a holistic approach. That is what we are practicing. Right? But You cannot go and teach someone who is completely depressed holistic yoga. They won't even get out of bed, right? So you need focused yoga, personalized yoga, specific for depression, right? Specific for anxiety. So these are all personalized treatments. Holistic yoga is meant for everybody, right? But now if you're coming and saying that, oh, this person is totally depressed, okay, so then he needs some one-to-one personal yoga, okay, focused on that particular, right? If he's facing anxiety, yeah, he needs some exercises specific for that. Okay, so these are all personalized things. So it is more about therapy, and therapy is not taught in a general thing. Yeah, you can do it, okay, you can do it, but ideally therapy should be personalized. Okay, this is my thought, right? So when all these psychologists and yoga therapists and different types of mental therapists, okay, they started incorporating yoga, there's a lot of scientific proof today that yoga helps in trauma, okay, all kinds of mental disorders. There is a lot of proof, right, that yoga can help in all these mental disorders, emotional disorders, emotional disturbances. Yoga definitely helps. So now they combined their psychology practice, mental therapy practice along with yoga, and then they created this as emotional yoga, right? So they have done a good job. Okay, a lot of people are having benefits of it, but for general understanding, that is what we are doing incorporates all of that. Now in emotional yoga they say, okay, now if your heart is feeling so sad, you're feeling down, okay, go and do heart opening exercises like Bhujangasana, right, like the camel pose. These are heart opening exercises, and suddenly your sadness is going to go. I would take it with a pinch of salt, right? Just the heart opening exercises is not going to resolve your sorrow. The whole practice of yoga will resolve it, not just the heart opening exercise, right? The whole practice what we are doing will resolve it. Heart opening exercises is only one part of it, right? So they say that, oh, okay, there is so much of stress which is accumulated in your hips, okay, so do these exercises and the stress will melt away. Again I'll take it with a pinch of salt, right? You do yoga properly, you do pranayama, you do your meditation, okay, your stress will automatically melt away. Okay. And then they combine this emotional yoga with things like discussions, therapy sessions, right? People sit together and discuss their emotional states. It's all helpful. A group of people, like-minded people, sitting and discussing different types of emotions, okay, different types of visualizations specific to trauma, specific to emotion. All of this helps. So they package yoga in a therapeutic way. But I would say that what we practice, the holistic yoga, okay, is one of the best practices ever, okay, which has all aspects of this, all aspects,